We believe health is the foundation that unlocks freedom. The freedom to live fully, to be an asset and not a burden, and to chase what truly matters. Through daily practices and proven frameworks, we are here to help you build deep health, find lasting peace, and live with your heart on fire. Welcome to the chase. Hello and welcome back, everybody. What is up, Ben? How are you?
Good. What is up, Patrick?
Good to see you. We got some great questions today. We've got questions from our Chase Club. Our Chase Club is our premium membership, chasingexcellence.email. If you want to learn more about it, you get ad-free episodes, plus a bunch of bonus content, as well as one time a month, we take your questions and we dedicate a whole episode to them. We're going to talk about strategies for managing late night eating habits, optimal meal timing around workouts, and a couple more. Are you ready?
Let's go.
First one is from Jake. Here's his question. I'm curious about your thoughts on pre-bed eating and cravings. Do you have strategies to avoid them? I start my day strong, working out in the garage after a good night's sleep, 6 hours or more. I fast until lunch, but once I'm alone in the kitchen after bedtime, I think that means maybe the kids' bedtime, I find myself turning to eating anything I see. I know I should get to bed, but sometimes I can't resist. I'd like to have a solid strategy to prevent this.
Okay, Jake.
Jake from State Farm, I assume.
Absolutely. Every Jake is from State Farm. You're giving a really big tell in your question, which is I sleep well every night, upwards of 6 hours.
Yep.
That is below the minimum for sustaining health, which is 7 hours. So this is such an easy answer for Jake. Jake, you got to sleep a lot more, man. It is the cause for those late night cravings, is your lack of sleep. You're actually not going to be recovering. You're doing yourself some potential harm in terms of later in life cognitive decline, certainly robbing performance, probably lots of real-time mental acuity. This is not a nutrition question. This is a sleep question. Okay. Now, if it wasn't for Jake, if somebody else was asking this question and they
took that part out. Yep.
Yeah, they took that part out and they were getting 8 or 9 hours of sleep, which is just like he's missing like 2, maybe 3 full sleep cycles. It's a big difference.
Before we move away from Jake, real quick, is it just simply everything that you said, but is it also kind of practical in the sense of if he got the 6 hours, he was probably going to bed 1 or 2 hours earlier and therefore has less time in the kitchen, or is it the other stuff more importantly?
Both sides of that coin. Yep. Exactly. One is just the pure logistical constraints of you will not be in the kitchen because you will have gotten to bed 2 hours earlier.
Yeah.
That's the number one. So you think about 6 hours of sleep, what does it actually look like practically? If you get up at 6 a.m., you're going to bed at midnight. Yeah. You're up because you're starving because you're up for 3 hours longer than you should be. It's time for the next meal. So we can't even get to the strategies and the tips and the hacks and all the rest because it's just a function of it's time for the next meal. Your body's not at rest. Yep. So it's that. You got to go to bed earlier. Now, if he was getting up at 6 and going to bed at 9, right? That's a different conversation. How do you avoid those ones? It comes down to which of the 3 H's is it actually? Is it actually hunger? Or is it the habit of eating? Or is it a hydration issue? And they all manifest themselves as the same thing, which is I'm hungry. That's the hard part. Whether it's true hunger, whether it's just habit formation, or you're thirsty, they'll all come up in terms of the hunger sensation. So we have to figure out which of those it is. If it is true hunger, then we're going to go towards eating strategies, which is maybe it's eat a little bit more at dinner. Maybe it's change up the fasting protocol to where you're eating a little bit earlier. Maybe it's putting a snack in the afternoon. If it's habit, then what we need is we need to break that habit. It's and that's the one that sucks, right? Because you've just trained your body to crave this thing. And just like anything, you're going to have to figure out ways to break a bad habit. And then it goes into you want to make easy habits as easy as possible, and you're trying to put bad habits, put as much friction as possible in between them. So this could go towards things like looking for healthy alternatives, healthy snack options. So you're going to snack on, instead of going for, certainly if you've been going for, you get that late night hunger pangs and that, oh my gosh, I really want that. And you go for the not so good treats, right? You go towards the cookie jar, you go towards the packaged goods, whatever they might be, right?
Yep.
The ice cream, exactly.
My guilty pleasure when I do this is a bowl of cereal, I will admit occasionally.
Oh, no. I would join that support group. I don't even do the cereal, but I want to be in that support group because I just want to talk about cereal. It's the best. If I could eat one food for the rest of my life, like there's no health consequences. Most people are like pizza or
I'm going to be with you.
Burgers and fries or ice cream. Straight up, man, like cereal.
All right, sorry to derail us there.
Not at all. Anytime we get a chance to talk about cereal, it's not derailing. So we're going to look for, okay, does it become apples, right? Does it become carrots, like really boring stuff? Or are you going to try to satisfy the sweet thing with some berries, maybe some berries with some Greek yogurt and vanilla flavored protein powder, like almost feels like a treat. So we're going to kind of bridge the gap, not go cold turkey. And then the third one is hydration. In that case, you might just be really thirsty and your body wants that sensation. In that case, make sure this is more nuanced than people might think, because if you try to solve that hydration issue, but it's too late at night, you're actually going to rob yourself of sleep because you're going to be up peeing an extra 2 or 3 times. Yep. We really shouldn't be getting up once to pee. Totally normal. Listen to Huberman type stuff. It's like, this is the normal cadence. If you go back to sleep and it still takes you 4 minutes to fall back asleep, no big deal. That's like, it's not disrupting your sleep, so don't freak out about that. But here's the solution: is like the obvious one if it's hydration is to drink. But you got to be a little bit mitigating, or at least paying attention to the timing of it. So I would actually try to drink more before dinner. Mm-hmm. I try to really start to pull back my liquid intake really about 5 o'clock. Mm-hmm. I actually don't drink a whole lot, if anything, after 5 o'clock. But I do find if I didn't pay attention to it up until 5 o'clock, I'm crazy thirsty, around that 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. And then I end up drinking more, and then the cycle starts, which isn't great. Yeah. So 3 things: hunger, hydration, or habit. Identify which is the true cause of that. I've talked about this before, but before I had this habit thing, and it manifested as like a growling stomach. Like my stomach was like, give me all this, like, you're truly hungry. And I would eat a second dinner just to get into, I was like, I got to break this habit. I was doing the same thing, like cereal and granola and yogurts and all that stuff after dinner. I was like, I got to break this thing. So I was like, I'm just going to have a second dinner to know I'm not hungry. And my stomach would still growl. It was that much of a sensation, that Pavlov's dog thing of like, this is when you had that sweet thing. You've had this thing for the last 4 months. Where is it? You're like, you're not going to listen?
Listen to this.
Yeah, listen to this. And it was like, it wasn't a hunger thing. It couldn't be. I just had an extra 1,200 calories. It was truly that would send that strong of a signal like that to my body. So don't just say it's truly hunger. Like, really do the investigation.
Got it. Next question is from Brendan. I've been working on becoming more lean and super medium. My mornings are very busy with kids, setting up my day, staff, etc. Eating between 11 and 7 p.m. has worked for you, Ben, and I find that to be a good fit for me as well. I like to get a morning CrossFit class in when I can. Science supports protein and eating shortly after working out. When you work out at 7:30, do you not eat anything until 11? Do you have a protein shake after a workout and then go for a meal once the 11 o'clock window starts? So a couple little things in there, obviously referring to a bit of intermittent fasting that you've talked about before. So do you work out, or when you work out in the morning, what do you do about that? Super medium is actually a term from Michael Easter. He introduced it in The Comfort Crisis, but he's written about it before. It's effectively like his ideal body shape, which is muscular, but not too skinny, but not too muscular. So it's this idea of an ideal for peak function. He calls it super medium, in case folks don't know what that term is.
Super medium.
Super medium.
I love that.
And if you Google Michael Easter and super medium, you'll get an article or two that explains it a little bit. And it's in The Comfort Crisis.
I think of super medium as most dedicated, but not games level athletes, right? It's like
Yep.
That's what they would look like.
Super
It's
medium,
kind of
yep.
like
I
a
thought you
light.
were referring to like their qualities as an athlete. They're super medium.
No, like
But you're talking
their
about
body
their body
type.
type.
Or
Yes, I'm
like
with you.
people that do like local throwdowns.
Yes,
right.
totally. Yeah.
That's the super medium, or like a light to middleweight UFC fighter.
Yep.
Right. That's like the super medium. Anyway, that's not what this is about. This was about intermittent fasting.
Yeah. How do you, one, do you still do it? And then two, what do you do about that eating window between working out and then your first meal?
So my norm is what he said. I work out at 7:30 in the morning. I don't eat until 11:30 usually. Sometimes noon, sometimes noon 30. I did a pretty in-depth, I've talked about this on the show, a pretty in-depth physical assessment, VO2 max, DEXA scan, resting metabolic rate, and all that stuff. What I found was I could benefit from adding some muscle. So I want to mislead people because this is what I'm doing now. I'm trying to gain a little bit of muscle. This is why I talked about in the recent podcast as well, how much protein I'm doing, right? I'm doing between easily 200 grams. It's not hard to get that at all for me. And because of that, I am now not doing the intermittent fasting. I don't eat before I work out. So I still take the 7:30 and I now do a protein shake after that. So I'll take the 7:30 class. That takes to 8:30. Usually do a little bit more. I shower. That takes me to about 9 o'clock, 9:15. And that's when I'll have a protein shake. So I do a protein shake at around 9:30, and then I'll have a normal lunch around noon. And that's what I'm doing now.
Let's pause to say thanks to a few sponsors, and we'll be right back to the conversation. We're brought to you by Our Place, creators of beautifully designed, healthy kitchen essentials that transform your cooking space into a showcase of form and function. Head to FromOurPlace.com, use the code EXCELLENCE for 10% off your entire order. I used to be one of those folks who wanted to hide all of their appliances inside the cabinets or the pantry because they were all eyesores, but that changed when I got the Wonder Oven from Our Place. Unlike traditional bulky air fryers that you want to hide away, this stunning piece actually elevates my kitchen's aesthetic. It's literally a piece of functional art on the counter. It's not just an air fryer, it's also a toaster oven, which means I've replaced 2 cluttered appliances with one beautiful solution that I love displaying. The sleek design and gorgeous color options make it a conversation starter in the kitchen, and I find myself using it every single day because it's right there, looking beautiful and ready to go. Transform your kitchen with Our Place by visiting FromOurPlace.com. Use the code EXCELLENCE at checkout to save 10% on your order and get a 100-day trial as well as free shipping and returns. We're sponsored this time around by Element, the sugar-free electrolyte drink mix that's perfect for keto and low-carb lifestyles. Visit drinkelement.com/excellence to learn more and get your hands on some for yourself. If you're following a low-carb or keto diet, you might be experiencing headaches, fatigue, or the dreaded keto flu. Here's what most people don't know. When you cut carbs, your body actually needs more electrolytes, especially sodium. Element was specifically formulated to give you the right balance of electrolytes without any sugar or artificial sweeteners. Get your free Element sample pack now when you purchase any of their products at drinkelement.com/excellence. It's a great way to taste the entire rainbow of Element flavors. That's drinkelement, the letters LMNT.com/excellence. Okay, now let's get back to the show. Next question is the one you're most excited about. It's from Steve. Ski season is upon us. If you were to construct a single or maybe 2 workouts specific to ski training, what would those workouts consist of?
Steve, my man. Yes. All right. This is going to be interesting to all 6 of the people out there that are excited about this. Me, Steve, and 4 others.
Yeah.
But
the Venn diagram of
exactly.
high-intensity functional training and skiing. 6 people. And chasing excellence.
And chasing excellence, right.
Yeah.
Because you got to put that one. So, all right. But for Steve and our 4 other buddies, I would do something. So first off, skiing is there used to be a show before the CrossFit Games that tried to kind of do the CrossFit thing. What they did is they took professional athletes from a whole bunch of different sports and they put them through this variety of tests, from bench press to run an obstacle course to do a strongman thing to a tug of war. Do you remember that? It was like the Wide World of Sports type thing. Do you remember this?
No.
You don't remember that? Okay, that's before your time. anyway, like Jason Sehorn, he was a
Let's pause to say thanks to a few sponsors, and we'll be right back to the conversation.
safety for the New York Giants, was like always on like in Men's Health. He was ripped. He did well in it. They would have boxers on it, basketball players. And then Johnny Mosley, who's this Olympic mogul skier. This California kid with like a moppy haircut. Got on against these like NFL, NBA, Lennox Lewis boxing, like these like legit people. And he won. It was like, whoa, okay, get it though, kind of random, right? He won. Then Bodie Miller, if you remember Bodie Miller, it's actually who my son's named after.
Yep, I remember.
World Cup skier, multiple Olympic champion, World Cup skiing champion. Like America doesn't have a lot of those. Lindsey Vonn was one, but he went on it and won it like 4 or 5 years in a row. He was basically like the Matt Fraser of this thing. And it's because skiing actually does incorporate, if you think about it like an energetic pathway standpoint, it is one of the only sports that has this equal like phosphagen, glycolytic, and endurance. And it involves all of this like coordination, balance, and strength. It's just, when they broke these different movements down, I was fascinated by this when I was getting my CSCS, and they broke down sports, and they would do like how much each, there's these bar graphs of all these different sports. Skiing was the highest of them. It was like, well, holy crap. And then you see this happen. You're like, whoa. So anyway, I share that not to say skiing's dope, but it is. I share that because a workout would need to be very well balanced, right? It can't just be strength. It can't just be like long endurance. It would be very multidimensional. Now, no workout by itself is phenomenal. And I'm not going to bore people by doing 2 workouts, so I'll do just 1. I would do 6 rounds on the 3-minute with a half the rest. So 3 on, 1.5 off. Every round would consist of 6 front squats from the ground with your body weight, 6 strict pull-ups, 6 box jumps onto 30 inches for the guys, and then a max calorie bike in the remaining time. 6 3-minute windows, front squat, pull-up, box jump, whatever time you left, hammer the bike as hard as you can. There is obviously tons of legs in skiing, but there's also a lot of midline. And there actually is a fair amount of like upper body pull that is really effective. So that's where I would go. Now I could do other things with ski erg, like skiing would obviously is stuff like that, but to keep it like kind of accessible to everyone, box jump is super effective, particularly if it's high, because we want the explosiveness even more than we want the conditioning thing. So people do box jumps and they're like, I'm doing explosive 20 inches, 24, not really. That's a cardio thing. That's a metabolic thing. But when you get up to 30 inches, certainly anything above 30 inches for me, not very explosive, is an explosive test. So that's what I would go with, Steve.
Okay, so
like that.
One follow-up question, just as the programmer and maybe for coaches out there, people who like to kind of program their own thing. When you think about that, when you thought about that, okay, this is what did you think about it as what is a good workout that mimics the challenge of skiing? Or do you think about it as what is a workout that will prepare me for the challenge of skiing? And are those two things even any different?
Such a good question, Pat. That is a really good question. It is not to mimic the demands of skiing. Because if it was, it would be like, okay, so you got to do, let's do like lateral hops. People get way too far into this and they try to mimic the sports. It is not about mimicking the sport. It is strength and conditioning to build up your strength and your conditioning. And you get better at the sport by doing the sports. So you just want bigger overall capacity. Now, it needs to lend itself to it, right? So if you are a rower, we're not going to try to build you up to have a 350-pound bench press. That doesn't make sense. But we're also not just going to do a bunch of rowing in your strength and conditioning. You already do tons of rowing. You're getting better at the sport that way. So we want to build up your squat. We want to build up your VO2 max. We want to build up your lactic threshold. We want to build up your aerobic power. We want to build up your aerobic endurance. We want to build up your muscular endurance. And we're not going to use the movements of the sport to get you better at them. What we want to do is get you to the things that will transfer over, but we're trying to build like more holistic strength and holistic conditioning.
Got it. All right, let's go to our last question. It's actually two questions in one because they were similar enough that I wanted to use them as an excuse to talk about something. This first one's from, I'll do both questions. This first one's from Angie. Do you usually have or encourage your coaches to have a mindset piece planned when coaching during the brief at the start or at the end of a class? And another question from Jovanka. I'm curious how Ben structures his class he coaches each day. When does he fit in his small lectures he does on mindset and other topics? I like to talk to my class, but sometimes feel like I'm not choosing the right time to do so. Right now, I do the small lecture at the beginning. And so I don't know if we've ever really talked about your thought process of whatever we want to call those, the Ben talks, the whiteboard talks, the cool down talks. Can you give us a little sense of like what you do first, just so folks know? And then how do you come about, I'm going to talk about this on Thursday or that on Friday or whatever your process might be.
So first, shout out to Jovanka. She comments a lot. I see her name pop up all the time.
She's a rock star. Yep.
Yeah. So shout out. And then it's a little bit structure and a little bit feel, art, whatever you want to call that.
Gut.
So sometimes I'll either have something planned, and that's obviously like people probably see me like. Sometimes I've been recently like reading something, right?
Yes.
That's obviously planned. I don't just like feel that out in the moment. But I'm kind of like, hey, this would resonate. I know I'm going to have a little bit extra time in this class. Oh, let me back up.
Yeah.
Just structurally, the first answer is at the end of class. I've tried this a bunch of different ways. At the end of class is the best one. Now, every now and then, maybe once a quarter, probably even less than that, twice a year, I might do something right before a workout. Now, that might be something like fortitude, where something like, guys, this is a benchmark. This is a big one. We know what's ahead of us. Let's go into this, ... right? And I'm trying to set up the stage.
Yep.
But the reason I don't do that in the beginning of class or before the workout, and I choose to do it after, is athletes, they are not there to listen. They're there to work out. And if we spend an extra 4 or 5 minutes, 8 minutes or something, like just sitting there listening to somebody, I'm not ready for that.
Yeah.
It's what we found in kids. There's a whole reason that it's called the BOKS program, BOKS. It's a before school activity that's taken the world by storm. That's really caught on a lot. It's based off of the work by Dr. Reedy, who wrote Spark.
Okay.
We are
BOKS. Is that what you said?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yep. We're like sponges after activity. Before activity, we're the opposite. It's like a brick. You're going to say something. I'm not even going to be listening. I'm going to be thinking about the workout. I'm not even I'm actually kind of pissed that you're talking to me because I just want to am I going to be late now? Are we not going to do this? I warmed up and now I'm cooling down. I'm just, it's that whole thing of that nervous energy beforehand. No, it's after. So that's the first answer is after. Then in terms of the way it's structured, in terms of how frequently, I talk to my class, and all of my coaches talk to their classes every day. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's 15 seconds, right? Great job on that, guys. Here's a quick announcement. We come down the pipeline. It's the third day of the week. Let's get 3 claps on 3. Other times it's something in between. We got the whole 30 challenge starting on Monday with this nutrition challenge. We're really trying to create a habit of eating real foods. That's super important for nutrient density, controlling calorie intake, and improving our gut health. And now we have something that's 2 or 3 minutes. And then every now and then we'll go hey, let's talk about that gut microbiome. Let's actually have a little conversation. What does it mean? You've heard the buzzwords around there. People are saying that you shouldn't eat this way. You should eat that way. you shouldn't eat strawberries anymore because the soil density isn't what it was for your grandparents, and they have all these microplastics in them and all the other stuff. So let's have a more in-depth conversation. Those ones, I try to line up with the shorter workouts where I know I'm going to have 5 to 10 minutes to have the conversation. And those are kind of premeditated. And then there are the other ones where I feel like the vibe in the class, or I'll learn something in the class. So today we did strict weighted pull-ups as the strength portion. And I could just I know we haven't talked about this enough, and I can see some of the people I'm a strong athlete. How come I'm having so much a hard time on this when other people, then we do all the strength stuff, are having a much easier time this? I'm stronger. Like, why? Mm-hmm. So we had a little conversation about the difference between relative and absolute strength and kind of laid that out. But I didn't plan on that, but leaving a little bit of information for them, just like, okay, here's 2, maybe 3 minutes about the difference between absolute and relative strength. And afterwards, someone came up to me and they're like, because the take-home message was, we're here to build both concurrently. Mm-hmm. It's not one is better than the other. It's not about just lose weight so you can improve one, or gain weight so you can improve the other. It's train both, do the whole complete fitness program, and you will find yourself super medium, right?
Yeah.
And that was the conversation today, and that was just kind of like off the cuff. It wasn't planned or anything else.
Yep. Do your coaches feel the same confidence to go to the 2 to 3 to 5 to 7 minute? And that's probably the upper ranges of where you do them. Do your coaches feel, one, do they feel empowered? And then 2, do you feel like they're confident enough to be able to do those things? Or is it something that's unique to you because you're good at it and we do this thing, so you've got practice, or it's practice for this kind of thing?
They are very, very strongly encouraged to do it. They are very strongly encouraged to do it their way. Don't try to be Ben, be you, and be better than Ben being you. Talk about what you want to talk about, not what Ben talks about. Talk about it in the way that you feel confident with it. And for newer coaches, it's probably the most challenging thing for them to do. Mm-hmm. It's the hardest thing for them. But like anything, it's just got to get out there, get a little bit uncomfortable, and practice. And usually when they start, it's terrible is not the right word.
It's not the right word.
But it's not the right word. And it gets so much better so fast.
Yeah.
That's like anything, right? So the first time somebody learns to ride a bike, it's pretty terrible. They can't do it at all. But if you go and try and learn to ride a bike, probably, by day 2 or 3, you're kind of close. And that's what we see. They fumble around the first time, the second time, it's a whole lot better. And by week 2 or 3, they're doing it.
Take it. All right. I planted that question at the end on purpose. These are all Chase Club questions. One of the things we're going to start doing in the Chase Club, and actually when this episode airs, it might have just come out, we're going to start at least once a month running some of your after class talks for the Chase Club members. So it's kind of bonus content, additional episodes. We'll go through the archives because we've got a lot of them filmed and recorded. So we're going to pick out some good ones. And so if you want those 3 minutes, 5 minutes, sometimes upwards of 10-minute talks, Chase Club, you can find that at chasingexcellence.email. We currently still have a 40% off annual membership sale going on. You don't need any codes or anything. You can just go to chasingexcellence.email, upgrade your account, and you will get that 40% discount. We've also got a new challenge coming soon. So even if you don't want to join the Chase Club, join the free newsletter. You'll get that challenge when it drops. Thank you, Ben. That was fun.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you very much for tuning into the show. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you're listening or watching so you do not miss another episode. For more frameworks and daily practices, visit chasingexcellence.email. And don't forget to tap the link in the show notes for today's full listener guide, where we break down the key ideas and provide actionable steps to help you put them into practice. Until next time, keep building health, finding freedom, and living with your heart on fire.